So where did bagpiping start for me? So bagpiping started when I was pretty much born. My grandpa would take me to the Highland Games in Coquitlam every year, which is a big competition for bagpipings and drums. Um, and every year he would take us, we would go listen to the bands, watch people play. And when I was 7, he asked my brother and I if we wanted to play. So my brother decided he would play the drums, and I decided I would play the bagpipes. And for the next 3 years after that, I spent countless hours every day playing. And my grandfather told me he would keep paying for it as long as I kept trying. So when I was 7, that was when it all started, the journey of me becoming who I am today in the bagpiping world. And that kind of led me into some huge achievements I had, getting to travel over Canada and all over the States and even internationally to play, playing in Maxville for the national championships we have for bagpiping, where I ended up getting second, and that same year getting to go to Scotland to compete in the world championships because of how well I placed for my solo competitions and as well as my band, and kind of building into the band part there too. A big achievement I had in the band was playing with them. We won the Western Canadian Championships twice, and then we won the North American Championships that year that we went to Scotland. And that year we went to Scotland, I was actually one of the leaders in the band. We were called the Pipe Majors. So it was me and my best friend Colin. We pretty much got to run the band, run sets, make up different tune names, write tunes, learning how all that different stuff worked in a band. And I would say those were probably some of the best experiences I had in it. And those experiences didn't just kind of build who I was as a player, but those experiences really built who I am today and how I work with others, not only in bagpiping, but how I work with others in school and sports. Yeah. My mentor was Hal Senick. Hal Senick was a huge part of my journey as a bagpiper. Hal was one of the greatest bagpipers to ever live. He was the first non-Scottish person to ever win the World Championships back in 1970s, 1960s. And he went down in history as one of the best Canadian players to ever play, leading one of the biggest bands from Canada, the Triumph Street Pipe Band, down to Scotland to win back-to-back championships in the 80s. And Hal was more than just a teacher. To me, he was a role model and someone who really supported me in not only piping but in life. He would kind of show up to my sporting events, show up to other volunteer things I had outside of school, show up to any time I would play my bagpipes in public. He was always there for me, not as a teacher but as a friend. And this project, especially the tune I created with him, is something I wanted to do because I wanted to make him proud. I know he has always seen the best in me more than I ever have. So getting to do this, getting to write this tune for him and with him, was something I thought that would really take me into the next step with him, and show him that I was ready to move on and be the best version that I knew and he knew I could be of myself. So Hal had me write a 2/4 march, which is a style of bagpiping tune. As you can see on the screen, this is what a 2/4 march entails. But why I chose this is because the 2/4 march are kind of the foundation of bagpiping. They're the tunes that you always see bands marching to down the street and kind of parading around. And they're one of the first styles that you would learn as a bagpiper. They really show strong rhythm and timing and structure of a tune. And even though they kind of seem simple to me as a player, a 2/4 march really takes a lot of control, and understanding of music and understanding of how people are going to feel when you play it. And I also chose it because it's something that people can kind of march to. So if anyone picked up this tune that I was writing, they could just kind of go around and march around to it and have a little fun. So now moving into some of the tips and tricks that Hal gave me to help write my tune. So most good 2/4 marches use 4 2-bar phrases. So it'd be 2 bars 4 times in each part, and there's 4 parts in a tune. And the structure of these parts kind of go in A phrase, and then we have a B phrase. So that'd be the first line, A, B, and then the second phrase or second line would go A again. So the same thing I played on the first line, and then I would end with a C phrase, and that C phrase would be something that I use all the way through the tune. So each part changes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the ending phrase, the C phrase, stays the same all the way throughout the tune to let people know that I'm moving into the next part. So a tip that he gave me was to make my first phrase super strong and simple, to really catch people's attention, to repeat some ideas with small changes, and to think of the tune kind of like a conversation, not just random notes floating around. He kind of wanted something we call calling and answering phrase. So if in the first phrase my notes go up on the scale and it gets high pitched, then in the second part he wants it to go low pitch, kind of like someone's talking and someone's answering back, which gives that it gives a different kind of sense to the viewers when they're listening to it. He said a huge point for me here is I need to realize that bagpipes can't change the volume or like the dynamics of our volume. So our expression from the tune and how people feel comes from rhythm, note length, and phrasing. So those are the main things I needed to focus on. He said I needed to focus on like strong tempo, strong beats, and really have that marching feel so that people could really walk to the tune. So that's using like dotted and cut notes to really hold out a note, to really hold on that left foot when we're walking, and then cut something so that we can swing that kilt around when we're marching around. He said that another main idea he wanted me to use here was to build different kind of variations on it and don't force complexity. He said, you're going to think that you need to write something crazy, but you don't need to. You need to just write something that works. He said, work on embellishments first, which are kind of like our gracing notes and the things that you can hear like that sound kind of fancy. He said, focus on that first before the melody. He said, to end it off, he said, really use a strong opening bar, make it a memorable first phrase. You want people to have a really good first reaction of it. You want it to be balanced throughout, and you want to have clear endings. You want it to kind of come to a halt so that when you stop playing, it kind of leaves this like ringing sensation and kind of this thought in people's head of what you just did. So now kind of moving into the reflection part of my project here, I kind of wanted to reflect back on who I am now compared to who I was in kindergarten and how my journey's gone through the years. And I just want to say in kindergarten and all the way through elementary school, I was a very hard-driven kid. I would go to school, come home from school, and practice my bagpipes for 2 to 3 hours, then go to my athletic practices with soccer and lacrosse, and come home and go to sleep and do the same thing every day, and then competitions, tournaments every weekend. So I would say when I was younger, I was definitely a very hard-driven kid, and as I moved further on into my elementary school years, grade 6 and 7, and then moving into grade 8 as well, I kind of found that I could do stuff outside of that, so I really started spending more time with friends to create more life experiences, as well as keeping all those practice experiences in there, just not as big as they were. I'd maybe practice for an hour and then go hang out with friends, go to practice, because I started to realize that life wasn't just about practice and winning, and it was more about having fun with your friends and seeing family and creating those experiences with the people you love. And I would say then moving into my high school years, I really found that I wanted to be a better leader. So not only taking more time now out of my day to hang out with friends and do all that stuff, but learning how to volunteer, learning how to do work in the community, learning how to do work with my school. That was a big part of what I wanted to do. And I'd say all of that stuff came from bagpiping in its origin because, keeping me driven as a kid, but then moving me up and then becoming a leader in the bands made me realize that I wanted to lead outside of the band. So I started volunteering in the school, running athletic events, helping out with different clubs, and then moving that into my community and seeing just how much I could impact other people. And I give all grace to that back to the bands and letting me lead and teaching me how to be a good leader. And I'd say some of the biggest core competencies they built for me were my thinking. As a leader in the band, I really had to think of others, because I knew not everyone may be as like the same caliber as a player I am. So I had to talk it over with my teachers, create stuff that I knew could work with everyone, which took a lot of work and a lot of time out of our days, and some social skills that helped me with playing with the band. I met tons of people every weekend being away. We would meet hundreds and hundreds of people, not only from Canada and from Vancouver, but meeting people from the States and people from Scotland, and bands coming over from New Zealand, and that was pretty sweet. And I'd say that really helped me become the social person I am today, and helped me become more of a social person and a better leader, I guess, and really use my words more than my actions. So yeah. So here's the tune that I wrote. We do not have a name for it yet, but let's just call it the Maxwell and Hal tune for now. So it is a 2/4 march, and I will not repeat the lines because that'll take too long to play. So I will just play through it one part by one part, and just go to the end of the tune. So keep in mind that this tune would normally be twice as long than what I'm about to play. But anyway, here is the Maxwell and Hal tune. To conclude this presentation, I would like to give all thanks to my mentor Hal and my grandfather for putting me through this bagpipe journey. Looking back through this project, it's helped me see who I was as a player and who I was as a person, and how much I've grown over the years. So thanks to them for putting me through this. And I would just like to say this project helped me very much with my critical thinking skills in working through hard situations, and I'm very glad that I did it. Thank you guys very much for listening.